project, connecting, the engagement, and then walking away knowing that you've empowered somebody to just reflect on their own life, reflect on whatever they're going through and realize like, okay, I'm not weak or I'm not weird or I'm not some sort of like coward that like it's normal. All this stuff is things that everybody deals with. Like I didn't realize it. Like, and there's so many of us like that. Like I feel there's a stigma. There's a cultural piece too. There's so many different things that play that you
I
don't
was gonna
realize it.
say, because like and it feels weird because like when I talk to my girlfriends, like it's so easy to just be like, ugh, like I'm going through this, I'm doing that, and like we all become each other's. It's not great to like, obviously, like we can't diagnose each other, but at least like, like, babe, that sounds like IBS. But like I feel like for men, like I'll try to like talk to my guy friends, like, hey,
No.
how are you doing? And it's like, oh, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
fine. And I was like, really? Like,
Dude, that phrase right there. So many people have done something so horrible and painful, and that was the precursor. I'm fine. I'm just fine. I'm good.
yeah,
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm fine. I'll
Yeah.
figure it out. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, what are we figuring out? Like
Exactly.
maybe I know somebody who can help you. Maybe I know somebody who's experienced this and we can just like, I
Yeah.
can tell you it'll get better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Welcome.
does suck, and I don't know, like, where it starts, and I try to talk to, like now that, like, mental health is becoming a bigger thing,
Yeah.
especially within the men community, and I love seeing that, like, I would like to think that they are still talking to each other, but, I don't know, maybe there's still, like, taboo conversations, like, it's
Yeah.
not like, "Oh, I'm sad," it's like, "Dude, I'm struggling with my marriage. I'm struggling with like my physical, I don't even know, fitness, or
Yeah.
I'm scared about my health. I'm scared about my family." It's like it's not weak to care. So
No. No. Everything you're hinting at right now is the one thing that we're missing, and it's just being vulnerable.
yeah. And I
That,
don't
that
know, like I don't know. I love seeing videos of like newer parents that they have like sons and they're like,
yeah.
"Hey, it's okay to cry. You're good to cry. Let it out and then we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep practicing or
Yeah.
whatever." Like it was like a little kid like riding a bike or something. You know, you fall down, you want to give up but I guess just expressing that instead of like, boys don't cry." Like,
Yeah.
no, they do.
They do. Dude, it's such a powerful emotion too. It's a powerful physical uh event that occurs, being able to cry. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you bottled it up for like 20, 30, 39 years, and it has a horrible effect on it. The men are so turned off from the idea of crying till you finally like realize that it's normal. Like
Yeah.
it releases so many valuable and important different chemicals in your brain. I didn't know any of this shit. Like
Yeah.
nobody learns about it till you get curious about your own well-being, your own mind. Like, okay, oh, this is actually cathartic. This actually helps me like get rid of the stuff. But we key in on it when we're drunk and we're at Red Door
Oh,
and we're
yeah.
around our friends, and that's when it's
Right.
okay. And so many of us feel that vulnerability when we drink and we associate that with like, okay, this is acceptable. We can do it like this. And it's like, no,
No,
we don't want
dude.
to do that. It's like the most awkward and horrible thing because then you wake up and then you feel that shame and that guilt and you associate it with crying. And that's
Yeah.
the like, oh, I never want to do that again. It's like, no, it's healthy and it's okay to cry. You just don't
Yeah.
do it in like Red Door while you're like 5 hours deep in Red Bulls and vodka.
Why was I thinking Red Door, dude? I was like, why do I feel like I've seen this happen? I was
we
at Red Door.
we have.
I'm like eating the pizza at like 1 in the morning or whatever. And like I look in the corner, it's just a bunch of tatted up guys that
Yep.
they're just in their huddle. And it's beautiful to see, but it's like, you guys should probably do that in the morning. Like, hug
Yes.
each other like
Yes.
all the time. Like, oh my
That is
God.
so
Yeah.
true. That is so true. And I say that because I've been there. I lived and I've seen it after a ball, after a deployment, after horrible kinetic life events. You lose a friend. You all go drink, you all go party, and then the drinking gets heavy, then the emotions come out, and then you either get violent and you take it out on some poor dude, or you pour it all out in the midst of a drunk, fueled rager. And it's like, man, like that's not the right
Yeah.
thing. But
That's
it's
what I
so
was gonna
hard.
say was like that anger piece is oh, it's so rough because it's like, babe, you're not angry at the guy who, shoulder checked you or whatever. You're
Yeah.
not angry at your girlfriend because she smiled at the bartender or whatever. You're angry because you're hurting.
Yeah.
And like one of our chaplains actually, and I am going to keep this for the rest of my life, but he said that when like we're all like bottles of soda or like cans of soda or something, and
Yeah.
it's like if you keep shaking it up, you keep shaking it up, and then as soon as you like open the top or whatever, what is it gonna do? It's gonna explode. But if you
Everywhere.
you know, slowly release the cap a little bit, let some of that pressure off, it's going to fizzle out. It's going to, you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
not going to be this giant explosion. And so, um, oh, that's hard. But at this, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I don't even know how we mitigate that besides these types of talks and encouraging like these talks to be happening like in group settings and comfortable settings and
Yeah.
stuff. I think that's super important.
Well, that's the one thing I realized. It takes conversations like this, and you at home listening or in your car, that's what it takes. Being able to tune in to an episode of Security Hot Podcast with Denny and Becky and talking and hearing us, like, because that's one thing. It's one thing to be able to sit down and hear somebody talk about mental health with data points and metrics. That's great. Viable information that we all need. And it's vital to being able to arm yourself with knowledge. Because one thing I realized is I thought doctors and providers had all the answers. It turns out they don't. They're a human being. The capacity
Yeah.
to learn and the capacity to store all that information in their brain is not infinite, it's finite. So if a doctor has to refer to websites and into books, well, then I should too. It's my
Yeah.
emotions, it's my body, it's my issues. I should learn about them too. So that's
Right.
great. But this back and forth, because believe it or not, I have this theory that even though we come from vastly different worlds and we're vastly different people, there is more connecting us than there is separating us. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why you're here today, Becky. That's why you are today's special guest on Secure Out Podcast,
Yay.
because I want to
I'm
hear about
so
you.
grateful. I'm so grateful for that too. This is awesome. I was like telling my friends about it. I was like, wish me luck. And I was like, I don't know, I'm like nervous. And
No,
they're like, you're literally talking about the one thing that like you like to talk to people about. So
I want to open it up now that we've had this great 8-minute intro to the first one of the first moments where I was like, okay, this is a different individual. I don't know if you remember this interaction. I had just came back from the warrant course and I just got to 3-5 and I needed a new door code. And I saw you in the hallway. I'm like, hey, I need a new door code. I'm the new warrant on 3-5. And I just remember you looked at me like, this motherfucker.
I was hoping you weren't gonna bring this up.
No, I loved it. I absolutely loved it because in that moment, and from that moment, you walk in and you're like, yeah, I made it. Like my fucking team room. I'm here. I'm a warrant officer. And you're like, who the fuck is this dude? I'm
Yeah.
busy. Fill out the request. And I'm like, that's a real fucking NCO. Okay.
Oh my
Okay.
God,
That's a
dude.
real NCO.
So I remember that you said dude, so what was the triggering point? The triggering moment was that like you said something about like I don't know if you called me door girl or SQ girl or something. And I was like, actually I'm Staff Sergeant Robles.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Like a fucking boss. And I was like, God damn
oh
it.
my God. Dude, I was like, I was like, I hope he forgot that.
Fuck no. That was one of the most ballingest fucking things you could have ever done.
I
That
remember I
was
walked
fucking.
back into like the S2 and I don't know who was in charge at that moment, but I was like, just so you know, if you get a phone call from a warrant, like I wasn't here.
Fuck that
And he was
dude.
just like, what did you do? And I told him and he was like, Jesus Christ. So, oh my God, that's actually,
Oh.
I'm so glad that we got that out the way.
It's one of the greatest moments ever because immediately you realize that, wait a second, dude, doesn't fucking matter what the fuck rank you are. That's a person. That's somebody in your fucking organization. Don't be fucking
Mm.
too high and mighty. But it's
Oh
all
my.
those little moments where you realize like, and I'm glad it happened, and I'm glad it was like that first moment, like, oh, dude, like, shut the fuck up, be
Yeah.
nice, be
I
nice.
was like
Ask,
so scared to
and
run
from that
into you
and that
after
from that
that.
moment on, every time I had an interaction with you, I've always like, hell yeah, that's fucking Staffs on Robles, hell yeah, dude.
Okay, I was like, because I was like freaking out inside. I was like, and I was just like, "Hey, what's up?"
Hell
But
no,
my
you
heart's
you were
going.
such a fucking G, and
Oh.
such like I held you and the rest of, because I always had a good relationship with our S2 down there. Fucking
Mhm.
shout out to Mad Dog wherever you are, homie. God knows what happened to that dude.
Wait,
But
who's Mad Dog?
so I'll tell you later. It was one of the first trips that I did, and we pulled this. I won't throw his real name out there. We pulled this brand new S2 kid over with us, and he ended up having to run the entire like B team intel section. It was poor kid, dude. I'll never.
Jesus.
Yeah, but like the epitome, most iconic, like nerd, the glasses, like from at face value. But then when you
Yeah.
talk to him, he was straight from fucking like the streets, like hardcore, like slang, hip hop. I mean, like you couldn't have picked him. Like I would have been like, oh, dude, you're from fucking Midwest Farmville. It's like no,
Yeah.
like straight from the fucking streets. But he had the generic like nerdy glasses and the high and tight and the words and the way he talked, you could never put it together with the face. I'm like, I don't even know how to make like, you are just a contradiction. You're a walking contradiction, and I fucking love this.
Oh, that's so awesome, dude. I mean, I
Oh
I don't know what I would do. Like, I know that internally or outwardly, I would try to be like, you know what, I got this. I can ask people for help, whatever. I'm just
yeah.
fake it till you make it kind of thing. But internally, like, I would go to the bathroom and be like, hey, you guys, I just have to use it right quick, and I would cry if I was in that
No,
position. I would be like, what am I doing? There was a mix up.
that's everybody. That's literally everybody within special operations.
Oh my god. As you can tell, I mean, like, I love like astrology type stuff, whatever. I did my whole birth chart and everything. And like my oh god, my Mercury's like in Cancer or something like that. And so it was like, so basically you're a crybaby. And I was like, yes,
Oh
thank you
my
so much
god.
for telling me something I already knew. Oh my god, and my mom, like, bless her heart, she would get so frustrated at me because I would always cry, dude, and I didn't, like, and it wasn't because I was sad. I can say this now is that,
Yeah.
like, recognizing it, like, I wasn't sad, and they weren't like tears of sadness. It was like frustration that like I
Yes.
couldn't express what was going on up here. So I'm just like, "Gah," like it's not, people aren't understanding what I'm trying to say, and I don't know what it is, but that's like it just starts coming. I remember I was like arguing with somebody, and I was like, these tears aren't for you. It's because I can't talk or something like. But
Dude.
I wanted to make it clear that I was a thug no matter
Yeah.
what. But like,
I
uh,
just pictured you in like the Dickies. I wasted up here.
the flannel that's like up here.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
No, but
oh,
what you just shared is so relatable because when everything was going down south for me, that was like the first thing that I realized. I couldn't, if I got too angry, if I got too like upregulated, I couldn't talk. And that's when I was like, this is really weird. I didn't have the emotion yet. I didn't have the ability to cry till later on. Like that was a fucking insane experience. Like, but just that feeling of like, I am so angry. And that's why the violence and the anger were just so volatile. And I remember just like finally breaking out to my wife and being like, I don't know how to keep everything in my head. Like, cause you know, obviously you're going through trauma, you're going through anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation. You don't even know how to like have a good conversation with your wife. And it got to the point that if we had conflict, I would just be like, okay, I can't talk. Like I literally physically, I can't talk. You're talking so fast. I try to formulate something. So, and obviously that makes somebody angry because you're not giving them something back. She's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why can't you? And I'm like, I don't know what to explain to you. I'm so angry that I just can't form words. So I would start writing on a whiteboard. I remember like just writing out the shit that I wanted to say on a whiteboard. And then that would make her mad. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, I can't explain this.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I really like, I mean, I'm obviously smart. I'm going to keep that to myself. Like, I know that I'm smart. However, to do a full study of the brain and like why we are the way we are and like do the things we do or whatever, I get it that there's a lot of like, there's a genetic thing there and
Yeah.
there's your like backstory and stuff, and how you were raised and everything. But like, what you just said makes so much sense to me because I feel like I do that, especially when I'm having like either an argument or I have to confront somebody about something or whatever. And like when they're talking like a lot and stuff, I don't know, I should have been a lawyer because I feel like I'm already like I have something for that. I have something for that. And I'm trying to ensure. And then when it's actually time for me to talk, I'm like, well, you dress like shit, so and I'm like, what what happened to your full like all your points that you just had?
Oh
And then it's
man.
like the car ride home where you're like, man, I should have said this. Like,
Your breath smells like shit. And you get
your
your clothes at the toilet store.
Oh my
But like that's
God.
an mindfulness plug right there. So that's something I learned also about myself. I had the same thing. Analytical. I have to have a counter for this. I have to have like boom, like chess.
Yeah.
That's being reactive. You're formulating a script. You're not even present. I didn't know anything about this till later on. Like when you're present in the moment, when you're listening, when you're actively listening, meaning that I am not going to form anything. I am going to hold space for you, regardless of the argument. And it's a doozy because yeah, every good relationship, every bad relationship, the common thing is you will argue. You will argue. You can have the greatest relationship on earth. I love my wife. I love my marriage. It's the greatest thing I've ever had in my life. I will get in arguments with my wife. But when you love somebody and you're physically present and emotionally available and you're sitting there holding space for them, you're not writing that script. That's something that is so hard to let go. But once you let go of it, then you're really listening. And then you're like, okay, got it. This is how I want to respond. And that was one of the hardest things I had to fucking learn. Like that, fuck going to the Q course. I'd rather go to the Q course and go through the last 2.5 years of my life. Like I
Oh dear.
succeeded that. Like, this is great. I never want to go through this growth again because it is hard. It is difficult to sit down and say, well, no, I want to have that tool. I want to be able to fucking develop those arguments and have those key points. I got receipts, motherfucker.
Yep. Don't check my screenshot folder. I'm ready, honey. But I will say that in like to add on to like when you like are actually present in the conversation, you're listening to that person's like feelings and stuff, you recognize, hey dude, like don't there's no need to counter this. You
Yeah.
know what? This is somebody's emotions. You hurt their feelings. There's no need to be like, yeah, but you actually
Yeah.
just be like, you know what? You're right. And I'm really sorry. And I will try to like not do that or not say that, or I will be more mindful when make jokes or I don't know. I'm coming up with like different things that like
Yeah.
I've had discussions with other people. Um, and yeah, I don't like, I think stuff like that, it's like just being able to like listen to that person's point of view and then being like, is it really worth like continuing to argue about this?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It is
yeah.
so hard. But it's great growth. It's like important. We have to be able to do that. And from that, like, you can only get there when you're willing and actively like wanting to be better. That's the one thing I realized. Like, it
Yeah.
does, like, you can lead somebody to that, like, hey, like, go get help. Here's all the resources. But man, the end of the day, they gotta want it. Like, that's a
Yeah.
sad thing.
Oh man, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if we want to get down that relationship. Woo, Lord of mercy. Let's just say, yeah, never married, no relationship currently or whatever. Because, honey, I don't know. With growing up and everything, you just kind of like start to see people and like it's like, dude, I need you to just meet me here. Like
Yeah.
the bar is normally up here, but my guy, if you can't even like communicate, oh, it's
Dude,
rough out there. So please
yeah.
hold what you have. I feel like Billy Madison is like, don't you ever say that because it's
Gee.
hard out here for a pimp.
Gee, Billy, what's high school like? Oh
Oh no,
man,
this is
there's a
like
lot.
my third Billy Madison like reference for today, so I don't know what's going on,
It's
but
one of the best movies ever, and you're in great company to use them.
oh my
Oh,
gosh.
well, tell us, Becky. Tell us about your your path, your journey to health and wellness and mental well-being.
Definitely like oh man, I don't even know where I want to start. Like I said before, I guess when it came to like having your female tribe and everything,
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing and I'm very blessed to have that. Like I do like a self-reflection of like my friends, our relationship, like how like do we need to improve anything? And because I know I have that like space to do that, like, hey, actually, like I need to talk to you about this, but without judgment. Is or hey, I need to talk to you
ooh,
about this because I need your guidance.
yeah,
And it's respected and everything. So I do appreciate that. And I love each and every one of them for it. But there are some things they they can't help with,
yeah,
unfortunately. And that kind of goes with like grief. Um
ooh,
so yeah, a couple of my friends are blessed to have both parents. They might have strained relationships, but at least they're in the on in in this realm, I
yeah,
guess, on this earth and everything. To where if they wanted to mend that relationship, they could.
yeah,
And I especially like after my dad passed, so his name is Bill Robles. So when my dad died in January of 2017, I was a wreck. Like that was my best friend. That was the homie.
yeah,
And because we were just two peas in a pod. And my mom would get so upset because we were so alike and she's
yeah.
very type A and everything. And she used to call us she was like, you guys are just Hakuna Matata. So and that was us. And
Yeah.
so when he passed, there was just this huge void in my life. And I remember that I went to behavioral health to just be like, look, I just need somebody to talk to because as much as my friends love me and they are there for me, they're not really understanding what I'm going through. And like they feel a loss, especially if they knew him. They
Yeah.
knew what an amazing person he was, but it's still like losing a dad. And so I talked to behavioral health and no shade on her or anything like that, but essentially her recommendation was like, well, you just got to stay busy and if you're religious,
Oh,
you should go to church. And I was like, I'm very busy. Like I work, I go to the gym and stuff like that. I hang out with my friends. I volunteered. I was like helping with the FRG with First Battalion and stuff. Like all of these things were taking up from like 6 a.m. till I get home. But I was like, I can't just be busy
yeah.
in those hours of darkness where like I wanted to be with him. So, yeah, without like saying too much about that, like I making phone calls to my friends to be like, "Hey, can you come over? I know it's midnight, but like I need you to come over."
Yeah.
So, um and God bless them for coming when I needed it and stuff, but like that sucked. to have a therapist. Like I went to you for like some type of like
Yeah.
tools for my tool belt for those moments when I'm by myself, sitting in the dark, just being like, um, I am religious and I'm spiritual and everything. I do believe in, for me, I believe in God and angels, and we believe in like different signs and everything. So I was like, begging God, begging him to just give me a sign that he was okay, that he's there, that he's, still with me and everything. And I know I'm not supposed to do that to God, but I was like, I need some type of like sign or whatever. And then, sure enough, it was like in February. So I was waiting a while, but February came and my best friend, she was like deployed at that time. So we were on that time difference. And, it was probably like she was just waking up. It's still like midnight, 1 in the morning for me. And she wrote to me and she was like, "Hey, how are you?" or whatever. And I was like, "Dude, I just finished crying. I'm talking to God and everything." And blah blah blah, like I was telling her all the emotions that I'm going through, and she was like, "Okay, well, I didn't know how to tell you this, but it seems like I need to now." She was like, "2 nights ago I dreamt that your dad wrote to me on WhatsApp and was like, 'Tell Becky that I'm okay and everything's going to be fine.'" And I was like, "What?" And it killed me
Yeah.
because, like, obviously you can't screenshot a dream,
Yeah.
but, like, it just occurred to me that, like, I literally asked God for this sign, and me and my best friend, we talk every day, all day, like, with time difference, whatever, but, like, she coulda told me that 2 days ago. She coulda told me that when it immediately happened, but no, it was in that moment where I was begging that I got my sign that I wanted. And so I was like, okay, like I got that, but now I need to figure out something else because
Yeah.
what I'm doing now of like drinking and everything, and
Yep.
it just being miserable and stuff, that's not what he would have wanted. He's up there, you have your sign, like start living for him. It's kind of like what got me going a little bit. So yeah, thankfully, I don't know if you've ever heard of TAPS.
Yeah.
Okay, so TAPS reached out and they were like, "Hey, we're just checking in and everything if you needed anything." And so me and my mom, we did some like we went to Jacksonville. They had this big like convention over the weekend and stuff. So me and her went together, and they kind of break you up into groups. So if you're like the spouse of a service member, if you're
Hmm.
like the parents of a service member, and then like for children of service members, it's like a young adult, older like adult, and then like obviously like the smaller younger ones. And even when I was broken up into my young adult group, it still was like s it was still so super hard to make that connection because my father passed from cancer. I was able to have that moment to be by his side, tell him goodbye, and, like, love on him, and, we stuff like that we were able to talk before he passed and stuff. It killed me to watch him become this, like, strong Green Beret,
Yeah.
muscle and everything, to kind of like lose all of that. That was hard, but I still wouldn't understand what my friends who had lost a parent from a deployment,
Yeah.
like, we both lost a parent, but you didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. You didn't get a chance to hear them say, "I love you" for the last time. And so finding that, 'cause even when you're a Gold Star kid, it's still hard to make connections
Yeah.
sometimes. So, but thankfully through TAPS, I kept going to like different seminars that they would have, and they had a women's empowerment trip to Sedona, Arizona. Oh, something about those red rocks, man. Like, I was at so much peace. We found so many different like tools and techniques that worked for me because I already was into like astrology and the
Yeah.
moon and what the planets are doing and stuff.
Mercury is in
So yeah.
retrograde.
You laugh, but we are in the shadow period of Mercury retrograde. So So anyway, so like,
I
yeah,
know
so
my
just
things.
just finding those things that would help me
Yeah.
out there, that was just so perfect. Like just going for a walk in nature, that helps me. I know I'm gonna sound crazy, but me and my mom both do it, but we hugged trees. And you know how spiritual
Yeah, dude,
I was like,
it's not crazy. It's not crazy at all.
okay. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is nice.
Lean into it.
So
Lean into the experience.
lean into the experience. And then we did like journaling workshops and stuff. I got very like into like the adult like coloring books or
Yeah.
whatever, those intricate
Yeah,
designs.
yeah.
That definitely helps. So like I have one here and like in my house, I have one in the office and everything. So that way because I never know when I'm gonna end up feeling
Yep.
like this. And so just taking that time to kind of like
Yes.
breathe.
Absolutely. Grief is
Mhm.
not something that we cross over a finish line and then you're done. Um, in fact, the grieving steps have been refined and redone. The way we understand grief as soldiers going through our pre-deployment and post-deployment, like that's
Mhm.
not right. Grieving is very personal. It's
Yeah.
something you have to go through and honor and understand that. Okay, yesterday and for months I've been accepting. I've been good, but damn it, today's his birthday. Or
Mhm.
it's, this was the last time we hung out. And then
Yeah.
you get sucked into that feeling and that loss and you have to re-go through all those steps and that's okay. Your
Mhm.
process through grieving and accepting, it doesn't mean that you'll never get sad over the event. It doesn't mean that you'll never feel it. It just means you're a human being. It's a
Mhm.
complex emotion, grief and bitter. That's the other great thing. Understanding the complexity of bittersweet. We want life to just be fucking amazing and always happy go lucky.
Yeah.
That's batshit crazy. That's that's batshit fucking crazy.
Mhm.
Life is supposed to be this amazing, beautiful journey. But here's the kicker. This one sucks. This is a straight kick in the dick. You gotta have the shitty parts. You
Yeah.
gotta have the sad. You gotta have the bittersweet. That's what gives you the appreciation and the acceptance and being able to embrace those moments of awe of like, holy shit, I got to do X, Y, and Z. I got to live and be in this part. And I couldn't appreciate it if I didn't go through all this horrible shit. And this moment, the sunrise wouldn't look as beautiful as it does right now if
Mm.
I didn't experience all this sadness, all this sorrow, and the bittersweet. And it's
Yeah.
hard to sell that to somebody, especially if somebody's actively going through grief. When someone's just freshly looking at this wound, this fucking pestering, horrible injury, they're like, "Fuck! I just lost my best friend. What the
Mhm.
fuck do you mean that this is a beautiful thing? I have to understand. It's like loss is a part of
No. Oh
life."
my gosh. I mean, like, yes, but like I could not tell that to somebody like
Yeah,
in that moment. It would have to be like I tell people when people like write on Instagram or Facebook, like I just lost some from
yeah,
something like to a pet. Like pets are still family in my eyes. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
even from like losing a pet to losing a friend to losing a family member, all these things to like losing parents, I try to like tell people like, hey, obviously like I'm super sorry for your loss. I'm praying of like I in my head I'm picturing like a quilt of like light or comfort.
yeah,
Like, hey dude, like this is gonna suck. This hurts or whatever, but I'm trying to just give you my warmth as much as I can from afar. And I try to tell people like look for these like signs because
yep,
they will show up, they will show up for you. Like what no matter like what people believe in for like afterlife and stuff, honestly, like if you feel them with you or you smell their perfume or cologne, like I told
yeah.
you before, like just take it. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be like, wow, like that's a I don't know, like like
No,
that's
that's
something
100% true. It's being open to what's out there. It's the
yeah.
greatest mystery. It is the single greatest mystery that we have on this wonderful fucking blue marble. It's the greatest thing. None of us know what that's like. None of it, like, there are a few people that have, touched that barrier and they come back, write books and talk about it. And that's amazing. That's great. Like, more power to you. I believe that. But until we're there, until we run off that fucking cliff and transfer and go into the other side, like, we don't know. And
Mm.
that's the, I have to imagine, and I have to, I believe that there is something wonderful and beyond expectation, beyond comprehension that is out there. And that's the power of faith. That's the power of understanding. And it doesn't make it any easier to lose people. It doesn't make it any easier to lose friends and family.
Yeah.
But it is comforting to know that, like, okay, like, this sucks. Losing this person is this moment right now hurts.
Yeah.
But
And I
it's
will, sorry.
no, good.
I was gonna say, I was like, this definitely wouldn't be a podcast with Becky on it if I didn't quote Dolly Parton right now. But she says, to get the rainbow, you have to go through the rain.
Yeah.
And I just hold on to that. I like it for all of those moments because I kind of told you like my backstory, like with that whole journey, like with my dad and everything. So like this time frame is now we're in like our 7th year of since his passing and everything.
It's been
And
7
it's
years.
still we're about
Holy
to go into 2024
holy shit.
and he passed in 2017. So I think
Yeah.
I'm like doing math in my head. I'm like,
Yeah. Because your dad wasn't just friggin' an awesome dude. Your dad was a pretty big figure. Like
yeah, I didn't realize that until like what was it? It was like Stars and Stripes, Army
yeah.
Times, like all this stuff. I was like, damn, dude, like I thought it was just like I thought that was just my best friend who quoted SpongeBob with me. Like
I just
I was
always
like,
knew
you
him as
did
dad.
all this?
just
Like,
sort of knew him as dad, man.
yeah.
No,
Like
that's
I'm like reading his like pamphlet at the funeral. I was like, I didn't know he went to this school. Like, huh, that's why he missed my birthday. Huh, that's crazy.
yeah. There, it's funny because a lot of people, they didn't know the connection. They didn't know the linkage. It is a common last name, but
Oh, no.
like a lot of people didn't realize, like, your dad was a mentor, was a coach, was somebody that helped mold a lot of different Green Berets that at that time period were already like senior leaders. So that's like,
Mm.
that's huge. Like, your dad was influential for so many people. And that's something that you can look back on and realize, like, your dad wasn't just an amazing person. He was a phenomenal leader. Like, that's a great thing to know that. And he was still just your buddy. He was still your,
Ugh,
best friend. And that's a
yeah.
beautiful thing, the power of connection and being and understanding that while he's not here physically, there are
Mhm.
so many individuals, so many men and women that were mentored, coached, and benefited from the person he was. And that's a beauty. And that lineage still lives in seventh group. It's still in first, it's still out there. And
Yeah.
that's something that you can always look to and realize, like, wow, like, I'm part of that. Like, that lives within me. Like,
Yeah. I seriously like I was incredibly grateful for the special forces like um association, Green Beret Foundation, 7th group in general because they let me go cuz he was in San Antonio
yeah.
when he was going through everything and so like they would let me go and see him and they're like, "Hey, spend as much time as you need and everything." So I was so grateful for that. Um and just the outpour of like support that people have showed my mom and I was just incredible and beautiful and a little overwhelming,
Yeah.
but especially because like when he had gotten diagnosed or before he had gotten diagnosed he was technically attached to a unit in San Antonio.
Hmm.
So because he was attached to them they also had a memorial for him. So it's like, oh, I
It's a lot.
just went through this with like our home unit, with our friends and our 7th group family and everything. And now we have to do this again. That was just yeah, having to military funerals now, like I can't, it's so hard for me to sit there because when they do like the roll call and then taps, I'm
Yeah.
like Oh, like, I just feel like I'm sitting in that first pew again, like, in the chapel. I'm like, "Oh my god." So, it was rough, and especially I feel like during this time, like, my body knows that the anniversary is coming up and stuff,
Yep.
and it's like, that's why I call myself, like, a little Grinch about Christmas because I'm like, "Man, I don't wanna see your family by the tree, dog." Like, okay, like, oh, okay, like, no, but I'm just joking. But, it's yeah, it's hard, and I try to stay distracted and, try to be grateful for the holidays and stuff. Because at least I'm still here, at least my mom is still here. I'm trying to find all these, like, beautiful things to be grateful for. But I'd be lying it to say if it's, like, not hard. It
and
is it's
and
so
it's
hard.
okay. It's
Yeah.
absolutely okay to acknowledge that. For the longest time, we've we've had a lot of talking heads to say to ignore it, lean away from it, don't know, understand that it is hard, acknowledge it,
Yeah.
hold that feeling,
Mm.
understand that okay, this is hard, this is tough, but I'm not going to isolate. I'm not going to run towards a bottle. I'm
Yeah.
not going to run towards other maladaptive behaviors. Like that's the other thing. Like it might not be drinking. It might be other risky behaviors that we do. I used to
Yeah.
be horrible about getting on my motorcycle and just being a bat out of hell intentionally. Like I just wanted to be risky. And that's
Mm.
something that we don't talk about, the risk seeking behavior, because we're dealing with something that's difficult and we don't want to name the emotion. So
Oh,
it's okay to say, this sucks. I don't want to deal with it. But at the same time, be willing to say, I'm not going to be alone. I'm not going to
yep.
be alone in this moment. I'm going to reach out to the people that pour into me and care because there is good. There's lots of good, but a lot of us hold that same feeling for other times of the year when we've lost somebody and we don't
Mhm.
even notice it. A lot of times when I talk to people about it, it's the first time they put two and two together. I didn't realize why May, June, July, I had so many days or so many weeks where I'm just like a whole different person. Like, why has it gotten in you? Why are you so angry? Why does everything set you off? And then you go get help. You sit down, talk with doctors. You peel back the layer, and then you realize fighting season. How many friends have you lost in May, June, July? How many
Yeah.
times have you been to memorials around the same time frame? And then you realize, oh, I don't want to think about that loss.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this, but your body knows.
Yeah.
Your body and your
Oh,
mind get
yeah.
that
It's
tension.
ridiculous, like, that trauma honestly, it's trauma. That trauma
Yep.
that your body and your mind hold, and, it's just wild to me because like, on the surface, I'm not thinking about it because right now my season is trying to finish up work, get ready to
Yeah.
PCS, go see my mom for the holidays and everything. That's where my mind is, but, like, something in here is like ding ding ding, like, hey, remember that time that,
Yeah.
like, you really missed your dad? Okay, bye. And now I'm just like sobbing. I'm like, what is happening?
Hold space for it. That's one of
Yeah.
the biggest things that uh, I've learned through mindfulness is not trying to avoid it. Like a whole generation of us have been raised to be like Irish Catholics, just bury it deep down, never talk about it, boy, just keep it deep down. It's like, no, that's horrible for us. That ages us, that kills us, that
Yeah.
sends people to friggin' an early grave. And
Yeah.
name it, observe it, understand. I am sad because X, Y, and Z. Okay, I named it. I
Yeah.
feel it. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to acknowledge that it's there, but I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to drink a bottle and sit there and relive that. So many of us have gotten used to doing that. No.
It's like reliving and then asking all the questions that
Yeah.
you will never get the answers to.
Yeah.
You will probably never get the answers. And, sometimes people say, like, I guess I'll have to wait till I see them in heaven to ask them. And I'm like, why would you?
Yeah.
You're with them at that point. just be great, like, be like,
Yeah.
hold them then. Like, um,
At that point, it doesn't matter.
at that point, it doesn't matter because we up here, baby. We
Yeah.
up. So,
And know that they
but
want you to live. They want you to live and have
yeah,
the best life possible.
they
Um,
don't want you to be like down here and like just making yourself miserable and everything. They want you to like live for them.
yeah.
And I just always think about stuff like that. But definitely like that first year after he had passed, it was like wine and whiskey and everything.
Yeah.
I was like 20, wow, 24 years old. And girl, why are you drinking whiskey like a like a retired old man? Like this is some Johnny Cash type shit right now. Like I don't even know what's
Just see,
happening, but
see Becky coming up to the bar. You know what I want, Sam? Coming right
with
up.
like with like the Halloween candy cigarette.
Just barely being able to see over the bar.
Hold on, let me just an old fashioned, please.
Becky, why the mustache? Don't ask any
Don't ask
questions.
me. Wait, can you see that on
No.
here? Okay, we're just back up from the camera a little bit.
Oh,
But I will say the following January, because he passed on January 5th, and my birthday's January 12th. So having your father pass a week before your birthday
oh,
is rough.
yeah,
That was an awkward birthday party we had after all that. So
yeah.
I don't know. But either way, the year afterwards, I was like, you know what? I'm 25. I'm going to go to New Orleans with my friends.
Oh man.
That was
Oh,
such a mess. If I've ever, not even the fun New Orleans, like, LOL, got drunk or whatever. Like, no, babe, that was something else. So on the drive home, I was like, dude, I don't want to drink. Like, I'm going to take a break. That's
yeah,
what was in my head. I was like, I'm going to take a break. Um, I didn't enjoy my weekend or whatever. It was cool but to go cuz I've never been to New Orleans before that, but like I was like I just need to take a moment. And then like that break became like like 2 weeks or whatever, and then it became a month, and I
yep,
was recognizing that like I I felt better. My mind was better already. And like when his birthday, February 6th, had came up, I wasn't reaching for a bottle. And instead, like I went and put flowers down for his birthday. I was like, I bought like a little chocolate cake because that's what we do for his birthday. We eat like chocolate cake, and I played like the Stray Cats and Green Day and like Pearl Jam and stuff. And I was like happy.
yeah,
And I'm like, what, this isn't the same like person that even just a year ago. And then I started to, oh my gosh, I had saw the movie, like a documentary or something about the book The Secret,
yeah,
law of attraction, and all that stuff started to make sense. And I thought it was just such a beautiful like outlook on like life and everything. And so I was like, I should start practicing that, just practicing gratitude.
yes,
What a freaking difference. So not only am I like I wasn't drinking, and obviously I wasn't doing drugs, and like I'm not really the biggest, like the most risk-taking thing was like jumping out of planes and stuff. So
yeah,
like I was still getting that little bit of a charge, but like I was just sitting at home or, like at the beach. Being at the beach is so therapeutic for me. Just sitting there and just being like, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. And, just saying it out loud or writing it down in like the journal that I had, it really changed everything. And then I kind of just decided that I was like, I think I'm just going to be sober. I don't think I said sober. I was like, I don't think I'm going to drink for a while.
yeah,
And I remember like my first test was like we would go to brunch all the time at Taps in Fort
yep.
Walton. We would, dude, at one point we weren't even drinking the orange juice. We were just drinking the champagne. And I'm like, before I was like, how am I going to get home? how, like, I have to get ready for work and all this other stuff. So that would just put me in such a bad place. And so my first brunch without drinking or whatever, like that, honestly felt like Bruce the shark from Finding Nemo when he
Yeah.
smelled blood.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, all right, I need something to distract me from this. And so, um, yeah, going to my first brunch and then being able to like drive home, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool. And
Yeah.
so my first brunch, the Tequila and Tacos Fest in Destin, that was huge for me too. So just like marking these things off that normally would have made me be like, oh, maybe just one,
Yeah.
maybe just this or whatever. And then finally, like, I was like TDY with like one of the teams or whatever. And I remember that we had went to a whiskey bar
Yeah.
and cigars and stuff. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I need to step outside. I'll meet y'all afterwards because I cannot be here right now. But it's just being that like that strong to not go back to how it was,
Yeah.
because even though um maybe like, oh well, now I'm doing all this gratitude stuff, I'm better now. No. Like, just keep going, just keep doing what you're doing and stuff. And so for me, I've been sober, this will be my 6th year. So like, uh
That is
I people
awesome.
always ask, are you gonna go back to drinking? Do you ever think you'll drink again? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know, and I don't think I want to right now.
Yeah.
Because I've seen what a positive, change has made. And granted, like, I'm older now, I know what I used to be like, and now I have all these tools and stuff. But why bother putting myself in that position again when, like, what does alcohol really do for me? Not
Exactly.
much. Like, I still, like, my friends are so confused and proud of me at the same time how I can just go to like go to clubs and stuff and I'm dancing. Like, I don't need alcohol to like
Yeah.
go out in the middle of the dance floor and just start dancing with everybody. But it's just because that is just the joy in me. Like,
Exactly.
so
We've and I talk about this a lot with my friends. The choice to walk away from alcohol, or at least the choice to think about it, to actually just sit down and be intentional about your thoughts as to why you drink. Because it's cultural. It's a cultural thing in the military and in society here in the United States. Um, the messaging, at every point as a child, you're bombarded with messaging of adults drink when they're having a good time, when you're going out and being, active, and it's always happy people in these advertisements. You never see an advertisement with a sad drunk, just, oh man, drink Bud Light, I guess. Like, you never see that. You never see that. Same with cigarettes, same with everything that's out there. They're always selling to you an experience. So
yeah.
knowing that, and then looking at the culture within the military, understanding that regardless of what's happening, regardless of how bad things are in Iraq or in Afghanistan, every holiday there was beer for you. There was Super Bowl there. So that's another messaging. Like, well, fuck, we're gonna make sure you get your 2 beers. Well, fuck that. Just give me food, dog. Like, there's been so many
Yeah.
times in my deployment where we're eating expired MREs in the 82nd.
Oh.
It's like, fuck your 2 beers, man. Give me real food. But
Yeah.
like, think of the messaging, think of the cultural pressure to drink. And just sit down.
Mhm.
And then if you make the decision to continue drinking and buying Bud Light or whatever beer you like, then you made that decision on your own and you're an informed, consenting adult and you made the decision to drink. But I will argue, if you sit down and you think about why you drink and the reasons behind it, you'll do what I and like yourself and so many other Americans are starting to do and realize that it doesn't bring anything to me. It doesn't
Mhm.
provide anything. And the old myth that two glasses of wine are good for you, it's all been debunked. All of it's been debunked. So
Mhm.
the only thing that I can see when I look at it objectively and sit the data in front of my face and I look at it, I'm like, okay, I feel like shit when I drink. If I drink too much, that could lead me down a path to, falling off of my my journey, my mental health journey. It could make it so that I do something really stupid, which leads me down a path of continuing to do other stupid things. But if I don't drink and I continue on my path and I continue doing the things that make me a better person, that keep me on the straight and narrow, then yeah, I can be happy like I've been happy recently and for the last couple of years. Like this makes more sense to me. And it was just a simple decision for me. Like, it doesn't go well with medication. So if you're on meds and you're still drinking regularly, like
Mm-hmm.
whether it's just pain pills or mental health medications, it's horrible for it. So just,
Yep.
but that's one of the big things that I realized make such a huge change in your life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was right there with you. I was doing the same shenanigans with friggin' brunch drinking and then going to Red Door, constantly having to drink because I told myself, and I didn't know I was suffering from social anxiety. I just knew I hated being at the bars
Mm-hmm.
unless I was really fucked up. So as soon as I got
Oh.
there,
Mhm.
it was just like, I was like, fuck, I gotta get hammered. I gotta get fucking plastered so I can feel better about being here. I didn't know that was dealing with anxiety. I know that I just thought like, it's just weird. But if I drink enough, I'll feel better. I'll be more relaxed. Yeah.
Okay. I oh I relate, and you know what's weird is that like I felt like when I felt like that like I couldn't be at certain things because I felt like people were judging me or staring
Yes.
or coming up with all this stuff, and I'm like, girl, you ain't nobody for anybody to
Yeah.
like let's calm down and everything. And so I would just start to drink, and then when I got sober, I remember I used to be that person that was like, hey, I have to go grocery shopping. Do you want to come with me? Or can you come with me? Or,
Yeah.
for just like simple things that I wanted a companion, like a friend with me. And now, like I told somebody recently, I was like, oh yeah, like I bought a ticket for the Steelers game tomorrow night. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. Like, who are you going with? I'm like, nobody, I'm just going by myself. And they're like, you're going to a full NFL game just alone. I was like, yeah, I do that all the time. And it's because I was like, when I was sober and then I didn't have like people would be like, oh, I can't go, or they drop out, or I don't want to go. And I start missing out on the stuff that I really wanted to do. I was like, you know what? Am I allowed to curse on here?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, fuck this. I was like, I'm gonna go by myself. And I was like, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I love so like the smallest thing like I started with was like I love the experience of going to the movie theaters.
Yeah.
I love the popcorn. I love, just getting like a crunch a bunch and like a soda and just sitting in the movies. And so that's what I started with was like going to movies by myself.
Yep.
Eating at a restaurant by yourself, that was like that was different, but I did it, and now I kind of do that all the time. And then being out here in the city where I don't have as many friends as like I do back at home in Florida. But like my friends here, they have their families, they have other lives and stuff, and they
Yeah.
get busy, so I can't fault them for that. But if it's a Wednesday night and I want to go see what's his name, my God, he was just here. It's some comedian. I was like, you know what? I want to go see him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I had the
but I
same issue.
totally.
Absolutely the same thing. I I felt that if I was going to go somewhere, I had to have like I couldn't go by myself. Like it limited my entire like ability to live a fulfilled life.
Mhm.
And I think the only place where I felt comfortable going by myself was going to a range. And because I felt like I had complete control of that environment. I knew exactly where I was going,
Oh.
and that was completely okay for me. But going out to eat, going out to a coffee, or like going to Sunset Bowls here in Destin,
Mhm.
that was, oh my God. Like that was a huge that was the event. The first event that I realized like I I can do whatever the fuck I want. I don't need to be going somewhere to get drunk to feel comfortable. Now I
Mhm.
understand what I deal with. This is social anxiety. I
Mhm.
am a normal human being. No one, and who gives a fuck? I don't need to be anything to anybody except just be me to myself. If I
Yeah.
want to go eat at that restaurant by myself, I am going to fucking do that. If I want to go to that fucking movie theater by myself, I'm going to go watch that movie by myself. But so much of my life was so occupied, with feeling like I didn't belong in society. Like I didn't belong to hold space by myself. And there's this, things that we never talk about as men. We never approach somebody. And going to a bar by myself to meet up with friends. So I
Mhm.
always like, I'm going to be late. I don't want to be the first person there. Oh, fuck that. I don't want to do that. I'm going to
Oh, I
wait
felt
to
that.
wait till everybody else is there. And then I'm going straight to the bar and I am ordering 4 drinks. And I remember my wife was the first one to call it out. It's like, why do you drink so much as soon as you get there? And you're just obliterated. And I remember the first like quasi little bit of vulnerability that I showed her before we were married. It's just like, I don't want to fucking be here. Like
Mhm.
I it's like there's a feeling of not knowing that you could potentially be sending the wrong vibe to somebody and get into a fight for some reason. And it's like, and that always happened in Destiny. You go to AJ or Red Door, there's always a fucking fight. And I always found myself in those situations where in reality, I don't know who the fuck this person is. Like so many times fights were instigated or situations were just kicked off just because I happened to be the dude that looked the right way at the bar.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, fuck this. I don't want to be constantly worrying that I'm going to look over at somebody and me just looking a certain way is going to set somebody off and I'm going to be in the middle of a situation. It's like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I don't want to live this way. And I don't have to drink to feel like I can belong somewhere. Like
Mm.
that's like, talk about a net positive. I don't ever go out and socialize. Like I'm usually in bed by 8, 9 at latest. That's fucking primo. That's like the fucking best. Like that's the greatest thing. The number if I were ever to get interviewed by like Newsweek or Times, like Mr. Gaviero, what's the greatest part about being your age? I'm like going to bed fucking 8 or 9 p.m. It's like closing that door, having all my dogs on the bed, and just being like, fuck yeah.
No, yeah. Dude, and I'm getting to that point too. I have one of those like it's like okay, I don't want to call it a lamp or a night light or whatever, but because it's not. It's for adults.
It's an accountability light.
But it's like a galaxy light or whatever, and so it just puts out this like little blue and green lights, and
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
moves or whatever, and so calming. So just like being with him, he's over there, being with the cat, and like having that little night light on, and then just putting on some type of show to kind of like just be at ease
Yeah.
too. Like, because I was watching Dahmer before, I was like, I can't do this before bed. I was
Before
like, I don't know what I'm doing. Becky, you know yourself. You know better than this to be watching this in the middle of the night. I
nothing
was like,
sets me at
never
ease
again.
like a white man eating human beings.
Peace. No. So, putting on a good show and everything, I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, this is so nice.
Gilmore Girls.
Uh, I don't know who that was for, but mm,
My wife
the,
watches Gilmore Girls like nonstop. Like
oh no.
it's just on a constant loop. It's just never ending. I'm like, this show ended like in like 2008. Like
Yeah.
it just constant. It's like Jesus Christ. I've
I
seen.
can honestly say, like, I've never seen an episode. It just wasn't I don't think it's for me,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna be like, "Oh, you have to watch it." No, I'm good,
No,
babe.
no, it's not
It's
for anybody.
oh, no. The people who made it don't like it.
It's so not relatable. It's not. Oh God, forgive me. I know my
But,
wife is probably hearing me.
oh, no. Well,
she
we were
she
just
sensed
kidding.
it. We're kidding. It's totally amazing.
It's just for the show. Oh my
Oh
god.
my God. Oh.
Ugh. But to get back to one of your comments that you made about like our culture and our
Yeah.
society, because that bing,
Oh.
I I literally just came to this realization in the middle, like in our conversation. I was like, wait a minute, is because I grew up in Germany, like from 2005 till I graduated high school.
Oh no way.
Yes. So like shout out to 110th. Woo woo. But like
What?
but we were out there and I like for Germany, you could drink at 16. Like I was in the 8th grade and some of the kids that went to my school, they're like I mean like their dad might have been American but their mom is German and so they were
Ah,
already
yes.
smoking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is wild. Like we're in the 8th grade and this is happening and stuff." And like so here in America, you can drink at 21, but let's be honest, like these kids are drinking like in high school already or whatever, or like maybe 18 is like more acceptable, I guess,
Yeah.
for adults. But like, so kind of the same thing in Germany is like you can drink at 16. So what age do you think we actually were starting to drink? Um, and it was just a societal norm to
Yep.
see that. And but I can remember that even when we were in high school, yeah, we would have these parties or whatever, and especially going to like Oktoberfest, you do get drunk. Some people do get sick and stuff, but didn't have these moments of like, oh, it's a birthday party. We have to get
Yep.
wasted or whatever. It wasn't until I came to America or, came back to the States that it was like you said, like Super Bowl, we have to do this.
Yep.
For this holiday, we have to do this. I That is so crazy to me that I just realized that like high school and stuff, I didn't have any problems. You know what I mean? I would have like a beer with dinner with my parents and everything. Um or like wine and stuff, in Italy, and you can be cool. You don't
Yeah.
have to do all these shots and stuff to prove anything to anybody. It's just, oh, I'm just having a beer, whatever.
Yep.
But it wasn't until I came to the States that there's just this. I don't know if it's like the movies too that like
Yeah.
also promote it. Like, oh, we have to have a kegger at the frat
We
house
gotta
and
have a
blah, blah, blah.
rager, dude.
So, but it's just crazy to me how, and I don't know, I don't think the drinking age should be dropped here because I just feel like it would be too much for people.
Oh
People
yeah.
wouldn't they would just lose all common sense and it would probably be worse. But I mean, I think there's like there's pros and cons to everything, but at least if you get that tolerance at an early age, you could be like me where I don't miss it. I
Yeah.
don't need it and stuff like that because I already did it. I already did it when I was like 15. So
Yeah.
what am I really missing kind of thing?
I think we just need to
But
stop glorifying it, stop making it seem like it's the absolute greatest, coolest thing. Because it's really
mm,
not. Like you wake up feeling like shit. You're
yeah.
wasting money. Like I don't look back and say, fuck, man, I really wish I could go back and have one more Red Bull and vodka.
Oh
Fuck no.
no.
Like,
Dude,
no. Like,
no.
I still have all my whiskey bottles, like the gifts, because that's like a military culture thing. You still have that, like, but I'm not looking at it like, oh my god, I wish I could drink. It's like, damn, fuck, like, it's a beautiful sentiment. It's now I get to
Mhm,
proudly have that bottle. I'm never gonna drink it. It's awesome that I have that gift,
mhm.
um, and it's still special. But I'm not that guy that's going to be like, oh, we're going to celebrate today, Jim. Come on over. We're going to crack open this friggin' scotch and we're going to have a great time. Like, fuck that. Like, let's go do something epic. Let's go fucking be out
Yeah.
there and live life. Like, why celebrate by taking in literally a poison? Like, when you can go do something fucking epic, go do a great workout together, go do something that brings you closer with friends and family. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know. That's just the beauty. And that's it leads us full circle moment. Goes back to that beauty of being older. That beauty,
Ah.
like fuck. I don't like. Yeah, this body's now older. There's pain. There's arthritis. But man, there's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of hard gained knowledge. A lot of data. I've been able to sit back and acknowledge some truth that
Mhm.
A, I'm a better human being for having survived all the shit we went through and all that stuff, the, the sad, the horrible, the painful. It's all part of the beautiful bittersweet. and it helps
Mm,
me appreciate everything I have now. Like I love the fact that I'm on this side of it, because now I get to have these awesome conversations with amazing people like you to help like inspire and connect other human beings to these concepts of like, hey, like loss is something that connects us. Common humanity is a
mm,
beautiful thing. Like, and this the way that we'll end this one, because I want you, the viewer or listener at home, to feel this right now. This common humanity, this moment of circling back. Two individuals that worked together and had fun, awesome interactions. Now we're able to come back as we're older, more mature, and realize that in those key moments of interactions, we're both dealing with something so heavy and so painful, yet we were never able to sit down and divulge it to anybody else. But now that we're older, we're able to come back and reconnect and be like, man, like those moments in time that were painful, but now we're better for having gone through it. But
yeah.
thank you for being here tonight, Becky.
No
I can't wait to
problem.
have you back.
Oh, that'd be so exciting. Yes, I would love to.
Yeah. To have some more adventures, some more Becky adventures. Cause I know I love seeing your life unfold. And I know social media is just a filter, just you get a small speck of what somebody is living and going through. And we only put like obviously like the best parts. We don't
Mhm.
put the mundane and like boring parts, but it's so great to see your creativity and the hilarious shit that you put on social media.
Thank you.
You're one of the best fucking accounts to follow. It's just fucking great. You've
Oh,
mastered the memes just perfectly.
thank you so much. Truly. Yeah, I was like, I feel like I'm funny, and so I'm glad that other people can see it.
Well, it's I think it's a beautiful tool for the job you're in right now. Like now more than ever, that's how people connect. That is exactly how you connect with people. And I know it's been successful in your endeavors. And I can't wait to see where you go on when you get back to the force, as recruitment is
Oh
not the
my god.
best.
I am grateful for
There
this
you go.
opportunity, but I'm excited to go to my next journey.
And with that, we are out. Thank you for being here, Becky. Thank you all for tuning in.